Hey, what's happening, everyone? It is I, the man, the myth, the mustache, Tim here, with a brand new video for you. Welcome to Season 1, Part 4 of What If My Hero Academia Had a Suicide Squad. Please sit back and relax because you're in for a treat. With that out of the way, let's get this story going, shall we? I found you. Now Stain had to come up with an answer fast because he was now staring into the eyes of his pursuer.
What do I do? If I terminate, I might be terminated.
His thoughts began to race as he hit his earpiece.
Leader 1, I infiltrated the village but was found out.
Current situation. Hawk's response was quick and flat with no emotion.
I could terminate or knockout. One tango. Tank.
Both their eyes never left the other. For the glory of Gigantomachia! With a declaration made, the fanatic moved to engage his target. Engage, but do not retire. The lights on Stain's gauntlets went green, and he felt his quirk activate. With a flick of his wrist, several kunai blades launched towards Tank Tetsu. The fanatic's quirk activated, covering himself in chromed-out metal samurai armor. Stain then leapt towards him, only to force himself to dash to the right as a laser shot out of the armor. Stain hit a wall hard and landed in a crouch. Never one to back down, he threw another kunai at Tank Tetsu, only for the crazed fanatic to fire another laser from his shoulder, knocking the weapon out of the air. Stain, without hesitation, leapt towards a wall and bounced off of it as another beam struck where he once was.
From one fanatic to another, this will not be pleasant.
Tank crossed his arms as light shined across his armor. Suddenly, a barrage of laser beams struck the walls of the room.
Why hold the people captive?
Stain said with a guttural growl. He had to get in close. This was already taking too long. Business! The word was direct and without compromise as Tetsu gave a smug smirk.
What kind?
Stain knew he had to keep the bastard talking. Intel was what mattered right now, not his bloodlust. The villagers were indeed innocent. They made it their lifelong duty to provide food for all of Japan. What could be more aligned with his theology than feeding the masses? For this, he would give his all to protect them. None of yours! From the palm of Tank Tetsu's hand, he fired a concentrated blast. It hit its mark, sending Stain crashing backwards and closing the front door. The sudden jolt sent a can of black paint crashing down and splattering its contents on the only clear window. It blocked out the light that shined into the room. Suddenly, the laser stopped. Reacting quickly, Stain caught on, figuring out the source of the POS's power.
Where's your god now?
Stain growled sinisterly as the sparks flew from his kunai, striking its target. The bright light from the spark reflected off the armor, sending a laser in Stain's direction. It missed, and the room went dark. A dull shit rang out. Stain had won. He pressed his kunai, sinking it deep into wet, squishy flesh. With a merciless pull, Stain ripped his weapon from Tank Tetsu's side. Tank Tetsu cried out in pain, and Stain partook of his blood. The armor vanished as Tank Tetsu fell to the ground, immobilized.
I should end your pathetic existence. Right here, right now.
Stain then found a light switch and turned it on as Tetsu remained still.
Blood is amazing.
Stain began as he crouched down next to Tank Tetsu.
It sometimes acts as an activator for a quirk, like with those of the hardening variety. Meaning, that armor of yours.
An item then ejected from one of his gauntlets, capture wire. With it, he secured his target. The hero killer then grabbed Tetsu, gagged him with the remaining wire, and tossed him in a dark closet. He then secured the closet with a chair angled under the handle, preventing his escape.
Leader 1, Tank Tetsu secured.
Stain spoke into his earpiece. It was now active as he put down his hand and looked at the closet door. Alive, Hawks awaited for the worst. He had heard muffled breathing from his charge. This filled him with doubt as he grabbed his detonator from his pocket. 1 moment, 2,
and breathing raggedly.
Hawks slowly released a breath he was holding, placing the detonator in his pocket once again. Good enough. Well done, Blip. Stain. Stain noticed the correction at the end. Hawks did not care if their targets were concussed, mangled, or maimed, so long as they were alive. The warden would not only take away from his bonus, but probably shove him in a cell as well.
Indeed. Next.
The hero killer went to the door of the building and stuck his head out to check to the left and right of his position. He then returned to the building's interior. Maintain surveillance. Sure you saw what just showed up? Stain opened the window facing the direction of the main target.
Yeah, what's Dictator's quirk again?
He closed the window, then gathered the kunai blades he used from off the ground. Despot. He extrudes threads from himself to puppeteer others. Bad Company's commander then began to pace as he continued to talk with Stain. He was actually pretty impressed with him. The hero killer had infiltrated the village and was now his second inside man.
Think he used it on Gigantomachia?
The question ceased Hawk's pacing as a cold shiver went up his spine. God, I hope not. The idea of that kaiju-sized bastard in the hands, or rather, strings of the marionette master was hollowing.
Going dark. See you at the main event.
The notion was not ideal. However, Hawks knew this would be the best course of action. 10-4. And Stain? His victims maintain their free will. They are innocent. Good luck out there. Leader 1 punched off as Stain exited the building he was in. He found his disguise, then put it back on. He then found another group of followers and filed back in line with them. Back with Hawks, he slapped Jiren upside his head as the latter finished bandaging his ankles. He still could not believe the gall of this piece of human excrement.
Damn you, Hawks!
The pain was immense as Hawks caused the broker to tighten his bandages suddenly. Your own fault, Four Eyes. Looking at the dummies Jiren had set up, it gave Hawks an idea. Hey, asshole. Think you can set up your brethren around where Dictator is?
I can, but it'll take some time.
The shadow broker crawled his way to a tree to help himself stand up. He then returned his ired gaze back to Hawks with a raised eyebrow. He then saw Hawks step away. Gentle criminal, come in. Touching his earpiece, Hawks called the proper villain. Yes, Commander. The proper gentleman answered with a single ping. Fall back to my location, then switch channels. Overhaul, you and the murder boner prepare for a distraction.
Finally, some goddamn action!
A clap was heard over the comms. What kind of distraction? Interest piqued, Overhaul urged the commander to go on. Well, since we are relocating the villagers anyway, Hawk's voice was almost sing-songy as he spelled it out to them.
Oh, fuck yeah!
It was almost orgasmic the way Muscular's voice rang out. Spare the granaries and labs. There was that caveat, much to Muscular's dismay. Commander, you cannot be serious. Those poor people's heirlooms. They were of no consequence to the commander. Sometimes when one is leader, tough calls were to be expected and made with no margin for hesitation. This video is sponsored by Skillshare. With the services Skillshare provides, you can get access to many in-depth tutorial videos on basically anything you want to learn. Each class that they have is bound to help you with your creative endeavors. Do you want to learn how to make videos like this one? Do you want to learn how to write scripts or edit audio? Skillshare has you covered. And with our link, you can have a 14-day free trial. So what are you waiting for? Click the link now and get 14 days worth of classes for free. Link in the description below. With that being said, let's get back into the story. The decision was non-negotiable. Not our problem. That's what the liability insurance is for. Gigantomachia is not going to give a single hoot about their family jewels and or treasures. Gentle Criminal then opened the glove box and pushed a button with his name on it. The front hood of the ATV opened up. Understood, Commander. With a heavy heart, Gentle Criminal bounced off of his seat into the air using Gently Trampoline. He flipped in midair, twisting and landing in front of the ATV facing the front hood. A long blue briefcase rose up, to which Gentle opened up. Up until now, he was just wearing a silver ensemble of a vest with a white silk dress shirt underneath and a purple ascot, a silver belt with a square buckle, along with silver striped pants that ballooned to the thighs and black Oxford shoes. Inside the case was his silver cane with a hard crown handle made to look like a large diamond. Inside the cane was a hidden rapier sword that was laser sharpened. Beneath the cane was his jacket with its raised collar and twin tails in the back. At the forearms were silver bracers used to parry and defend against a litany of stabbing weapons. His uniform was made for the most fashionable of gentleman criminals and fit him like a glove. As Gentle Criminal finished putting it on, he only buttoned the center button, then twirled his cane and stabbed it abruptly into the hard ground. The ground then became bouncy as he launched himself into the air. He made several more trampolines as he bounced off each one, making his way to Hawks. Muscular then got in the passenger seat, only to be bounced off of it. He landed on his ass, then turned back around to the seat again.
The hell?
He did it again and smiled.
This is kind of fun, Mech.
Who you calling Mech? Looking at his arms, Overhaul did not see the connection. Sure, he had mechanical arms, but that was it. Sure, they had special abilities and weapon storage, but surely that was far from making the former Yakuza boss a mech.
You metal arms, short for Mecha Overhaul.
The laugh was meant to be insulting. However, with a roll of his eyes, Overhaul simply brushed it off. What, do you expect me to roar like Mecha Godzilla or squawk like Gigan? Overhaul said through gritted teeth.
No, I mean, you could. I could use a good laugh, but no.
The thought of Overhaul sounding like the cyborg kaiju caused him to let out a chortle. Asshole. Nothing more was needed to be said on the matter, and hopefully it would never be brought up again.
Guilty. But seriously, Mech, you should try this before it wears off.
Muscular said as he landed on the ground again. Overhaul looked at the seat next to him.
You know you want to.
Overhaul let out a low groan and moved to the passenger seat, only to be bounced a bit. I must be infected by your idiocy. Overhaul then slammed his rear down onto the trampoline seat, which sent him skyward and back to the ground. The Nomu caught him before he could hurt himself. Thanks. Groaning, the Nomu set him down as Overhaul dusted himself off. Overhaul then walked to the ATV's glove box. He pressed a button and the floor panel behind the turret hissed and popped open. Up until now, Overhaul was wearing a black N96 face mask covering his mouth and lower jaw. He moved it, revealing extensive scarring from reconstructive surgery to the lower mandible and right maxilla. Before he was captured in the raid, he fought one Izuku Midoriya, while hopped up on the quirk steroid drug, Trigger. He fought him till the drug wore off, only to face off with another hero in training. Unbeknownst to him, when he killed a certain female officer, leading several other officers into the fray with the heroes. Said officer turned out to be that trainee's adopted mother. It was then he was shot by a dart that was filled with the very drug he used to render people quirkless. With the battlefield leveled, the trainee broke him down to his bare bones and shattered the right side of his face. Snapping back to the present and putting memory away, Overhaul lifted the floor panel, catching his dirty reflection off the stained panel. I haven't forgotten. Overhaul said with gritted teeth, as his tainted reflection filled with utter annoyance and hatred stared back at him. Overhaul looked down and opened a metal briefcase, which revealed his red and gold beaked plague mask. He looked at it as he would an old friend. He took it and placed it over his nose and mouth. Overhaul then breathed in the filtered air it provided him. The former Yakuza boss then looked down at his black ensemble, a sleeveless compression top, slacks, and white hard leather shoes. He wore with no socks. This next piece would complete his look. Overhaul then saw the olive green sleeveless bomber jacket with purple fluffy feathery fur around the collar. Once changed, he slammed the floor panel down, roughly closing the briefcase in the process.
Ooh, big scary Yakuza boss is back.
Paying no mind to the chiding, Overhaul lifted his arms with its fists balled. Loud, exaggerated mechanical noises soon followed, with servos whirring with each movement of his wrist and hand. His fist, now palm up, still closed. Muscular looked at his fist with his head slightly tilted. One last exaggerated robot noise later, Overhaul flipped him off.
Well, you're a cheeky bastard, aren't you?
Overhaul stood there, his eyes giving no tell. However, he had an evil smirk under his mask. At the CI's location, Gentle Criminal met up with Hawks and Jiren. Hey, yo! Hawks gave him a wave as Jiren was frantically gathering what Gentle Criminal could only describe as training dummies. Commander, The proper villain landed gracefully with his greeting, then bowed, presenting himself. His high-collar black-tailed jacket flowed gently in the wind, prompting a small smirk upon Hawk's lips. He liked the proper gentleman and regretted slapping him earlier, but he had to make a point at the time. Assist Jiren with those. Hawks pointed at the dummies Jiren was now collecting, as Gentle Criminal followed his gaze, then raised an eyebrow. You can't be serious! The gentleman was aghast and appalled. Did he call him here just for general labor? Surely the foul-mouthed bestial man with a raging murder boner was best suited for this peasant work? As a heart attack, pretty bird, Gentle Criminal took a disappointing breath. He felt so pointless and useless. Hey yo, what's the matter, pretty bird? The nickname for Gentle did not help matters. This is actually important. In case you haven't noticed, we're outnumbered. Indeed, you are correct, Commander. All the life seemed to be gone from Gentle Criminal's eyes. This was so beneath him, but for his precious La Brava, he would bear it with gritted teeth. That blasted warden held his partner in that small room. The thought of what god-awful things his suite was going through. That was enough motivation for him to steel his resolve, enough to get through these 3 missions. So Jiren over there, in his immense stupidity, attempted to prank me. This birthed something brilliant. Gentle Criminal was not following. We need to give off the illusion. Suddenly, the life seemed to return to Gentle Criminal's eyes. No wonder he did not call upon the other vile, brutish buffoon. My word, it's brilliant! Gentle Criminal caught on and went straight to work. Hawk smiled. Whatever he said brought his pretty bird back from the grave. Goody! Now perk up, pretty bird. Pleased, the crimson-winged hero rolled up his sleeves. You're not useless. In fact, your talents are going to be quite useful coming up. 30 minutes later, with Overhaul and Muscular, their earpieces pinged. They both gave acknowledging pings in response, then looked at each other. So, here we go! At the same time with Stain, you who have been found in lack! Dictator ceased his ministry to the elderly. Your blood will be the sacrifice from whence my blade will stain the altar of my redemption. Confused by the hero killer's declaration, Dictator stood at his pulpit, frozen, unsure of what to do. He watched as this would-be assassin leapt from off a light pole to the side of a low roof. His eyes never left the man as he dashed across 3 building rooftops to get to him. Let them go! The words were loud, his voice like a lion establishing his dominance within the pride. And that is our video for the day, so thank you all for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this. Now before I go, there's a little bit of housekeeping. First, if you're in the mood for some more great storytelling, then We the Celestials has got you covered. Our We the Celestials, My Hero Academia, and Naruto What If channels retell the story of their namesake anime with a twist. Check it out if you're interested. Secondly, on behalf of We the Celestials, I also want to thank everyone who was involved in today's excellent content production. Their details can be found in the description below. Give some love to the writer and the editors because they do a lot of work here, especially the editors. Lastly, if you like what we do here with the Celestials, then I want to extend an invitation to join our team. We only have one caveat: you must be 16 years or older to join our crew. You can sign up for whichever category fulfills your interests by joining the recruitment Discord using the link in the description below. And that's it for today's video, so thank you all for watching and have an amazing day. And as always, be kind to yourselves, be kind to others, and stay awesome. This has been Tim, Mustache out.